Hey, financially savvy travelers, welcome back to another episode of the Thought Card Podcast. I'm Danielle Desir Corbett, and this is part 2 of the Flight Deal series where we're partnering with Thrifty Traveler, my go-to flight deal subscription service. We'll talk about them a little bit later, but if you haven't had a chance to listen to part 1 of this 3-part series, highly recommend pausing right now, where you're at right now, and go back to listen to episode 151. Because in episode 151, we really worked through the foundation. We talked about how cheap flights work, the different type of flight deals that you'll find out there in the wild, the differences between the reliable and less reliable flight deal subscriptions, and so much more. So that episode was really talking about the fundamentals and the basics. And in that episode, if you recall, we mentioned very briefly this term mistake fares. And this is going to be the discussion we're going to have today. We're going to be focusing and deep diving all on mistake fares, which I'm really excited about. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to share with you some of these ridiculously cheap flights that I got, which are technically mistake fares. Okay, so let me take a step back and let's get started. So although saving for travel is a great way to make travel a financial priority in your life, there are in fact many other ways that you can afford travel that should not be overlooked. And one of those ways is keeping an eye out for flight deals, including the occasional airline mistake fare. In fact, most of the 27 countries I have visited so far have been because I found discounted flights. And honestly, some of these trips only happened because I randomly stumbled upon a mistake fare, otherwise known as an error fare. If you have found these unicorns out in the wild, you know that there's nothing, seriously, there is nothing better than booking a ridiculously cheap flight, knowing how much you could have paid and how much you did save. It's such a great feeling. And it's one of those things that really motivated me to get really good at discovering flight deals and really relying, honestly, on flight deals as a way for me to be able to travel. So some examples of mistake fares that I've taken advantage of include a $143 round trip ticket to Stockholm from New York City in the wintertime. That was crazy, an amazing deal, getting to go to Europe all the way to Stockholm, Sweden, only for $143. Incredible, hands down, one of the best deals that I've personally have taken advantage of. And it's one of those epic trips that I'll always remember. Now, if you're wondering where exactly I found these unbelievable flight deals, and more importantly, how you can find them too, then you are in luck. This is the topic of today's episode. We're going to be going deep diving into all things mistake fares. Again, I'm super excited to have partnered with Thrifty Traveler on this 3-part series. You're going to be hearing more about them a little bit later. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to The Thought Card, a podcast about travel and money, where planning, saving, and creativity leads to affording travel, building wealth, and paying off debt. We are the financially savvy travelers. Alrighty, so what is a mistake fare? A mistake fare is commonly known as either a mistake fare, a error fare. I know y'all, I have an accent when I say error, 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 or an airline price glitch. As it states right in the name, a mistake fare is an airfare pricing mistake that results in a heavily discounted ticket price, okay? These mistake fares can happen for a variety of reasons. One can be human error. I call this like the fat finger discount, right? You know, when you're typing and by accident you type in something incorrectly. Well, that happens, okay, in the airline side as well. So human error happens. In addition to incorrectly typing things, sometimes human error looks like forgetting an extra zero. So instead of 500, it's now 50, right? So that's an example of when a zero is missing there, it can lead to ridiculously crazy deep discounts. Another example of a mistake fare is miscalculation of currency conversion rates or the omission of the fuel surcharges and fees or just general system glitches. These systems are very old and things happen, right? So glitches do happen. And I think that's one of the things that when I found out about mistake fares, it opened my eyes. I'm like, oh my gosh, this makes sense. Errors happen all the time. Why aren't errors happening on the airline side, right? So, yes, what you need to know is that mistakes do happen and it could be for a variety of reasons, which we talked about. And what's important is for you to know how they work and, of course, how to find them. All right. Also, airlines run on these very complex systems that have intricate algorithms, intricate databases, and there's so many changing variables like demand, changes in airline routes, route popularity. So know that flight glitches exist. And for us as customers, it can really lead to significant discounts. Okay, so another question you may have is how long do these mistake fares last? Well, I will say that mistake fares, I will classify them as rare. Some people don't think that they're rare, but I would say personally, I feel like they're rare. And although they're rare, they actually happen more often than you might think. So it's interesting. They're rare, but they happen often. Okay. So with that being said, they're unpredictable. Similar to flight deals, again, mistake fares are a type of flight deal. They are unpredictable. They're very unpredictable and they disappear at any time. They can disappear at any time. So mistake fares lasting long is not going to happen. It can last anywhere from a few minutes up to at most 24 hours. And 24 hours is quite pushing it. So these error fares, these mistake fares, they do not last. They're very time sensitive and short window times where you are able to book these super duper discounted flights. Okay. So when you do spot a mistake fare, you want to book your tickets immediately. And I have a story for you where I struggled with the immediately part, but I still ended up managing to get a good deal. So a few years ago, I saw a mistake fare to either Portugal or to Spain. And after comparing prices, looking for availability, trying to coordinate with my friends and my family, the cheapest seats to go to Barcelona and Madrid sold out. Like I completely missed it while trying to do all the things. I was doing too much. But we know, like when you're in the process of booking a flight, especially if you're not doing it solo, you're doing it with the group, there's just a lot of moving pieces. So in the midst of all that shuffle, the seats that I wanted sold out. And sadly, every time I refreshed the page, the prices kept going up and up and up and up. But luckily, I did manage to book my round trip tickets to Lisbon, Portugal. I went solo. I was like, all right, nobody wants to come. I'm booking it right now. And I was able to pay $333, which isn't bad. Like $300 flight to go to Europe back in the day was like my glory days. Like that's like the number I was really looking for. And I booked many flights to Europe with that amount. So it's not a bad deal. However, I missed out on the cheaper fares because, again, of all the shuffling and coordinating that I did. So it's still a win in my book because I saved $627 on that mistake fare. But honestly, I could have gotten it even cheaper than that. So this story is shared to be able to show you an example of like, okay, when you do find these mistake fares, okay, the clock is ticking. Things are selling out really fast, and you may actually end up missing either the entire boat, you might be missing the entire boat, or you may actually be buying at a higher price point as those discounted tickets end up selling out really, really fast. So let's talk about where to find these mistake fares. So the biggest tip that I have for you is to follow the experts. You all know that my go-to flight deal subscription service is Thrifty Traveler Premium, and I follow them because they are the experts. As we know, airfare does not have to be expensive. Whether it's a $49 round trip ticket to Las Vegas, Europe for 32,000 Delta Sky miles, or a $212 mistake fare to Japan, there are opportunities to spend less on flights, which is why I've been a loyal Thrifty Traveler Premium subscriber for nearly 6 years. Thrifty Traveler has been my go-to resource for finding cheap flights since 2018. And here's how it works. So step one, you're going to select your home airport or airports from over 200 US and Canadian departure cities. Choose as many home airports as you like. Step two, watch your inbox for flight alerts. And step three, book directly with the airline. Most of the deals are bookable through major carriers like American Delta or United. Don't worry, no budget airlines. If you are ready to start saving on your flights, visit thoughtcard.com/thrifty and enter the promo code TC10 to save $10 on your first year. Again, that is TC10 to save $10 on your first year. You can also find the link in the episode description. And if you want to know more about Thrifty Traveler Premium, I have an entire blog post over on my website, thoughtcard.com. And you can tune into that interview I did with the founder of Thrifty Traveler, Jared Kamrowski, in episode number 70. So, okay, now you know what an airfare mistake fare is. You know how to find them. Again, signing up for a site like Thrifty Traveler Premium. Now let's talk about the booking process, because how about if you find a mistake fare and you're excited about it, but you're not quite sure if you're going to be able to follow through and actually go on that trip? Should you still book that mistake fare? And here's some good news. So the US Department of Transportation, aka the DOT, they have this 24-hour reservation requirement regulation where airlines flying within the US must allow passengers to cancel their reservations within 24 hours. So this is called a grace period, and this gives you the freedom to be able to cancel your booking without any repercussions or penalties. So you absolutely have nothing to lose. I always say book the mistake fare and reevaluate if it's something that's possible and that you can do. And if for any reason it's not possible, feel free to cancel within 24 hours and it's penalty free. You don't have to worry about any penalties or repercussions because of this rule, this regulation. All right. So the worst case scenario is that you book the flight, you realize you can't go, and then you cancel within 24 hours. But the good news is that, okay, you booked a ridiculously cheap flight and you're going on this epic vacation, epic getaway, paying pennies to a dollar, right? So that's my best advice. Book it and reevaluate. And if you cannot go, definitely cancel before the 24-hour mark so that you are in the clear. So I also want to let you know, and this part is really important. So lean in a little bit closer because this one is important. With mistake fares, there are risks of cancellations, high risk of cancellation. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but I'm all about being transparent and sharing with you the good things and the bad things, or the not so pleasant things that come along with some of these hacks and tricks and tips and things like that. So, airlines do not have to honor mistake fares. I'm going to repeat that again. Airlines do not have to honor mistake fares. Just because you bought a ticket doesn't mean the airline has to honor that price. Although many do because they want to keep their customers happy. But I want you to know that there is a risk of the airline canceling your ticket. Okay. Generally, though, airlines cancel mistake fares via email within 3 days. Okay. But it can take upwards of 2 weeks. So anywhere from 3 days to 2 weeks. As financially savvy travelers, what we're going to be looking out for is receiving the e-ticket confirmation number. Once the airline actually emails you back with a confirmed ticket and a ticket number, you are good to go. However, if you have not received that e-ticket confirmation number yet, it's still up in the air. So during that time frame, I do not recommend booking anything else. Typically, we are going to hold off on booking any hotels or any non-refundable tours because our trip technically is not official yet. Once you receive that confirmation number, now you can go ahead and start booking. And these confirmation numbers can take a little while to get processed. Okay. So I want you to know that mistake fares exist. They exist. I've taken advantage of them multiple times. However, there are times that the airline may say, hold up now, this is a mistake and I'm going to have to cancel. So my big takeaway here is that when you book mistake fares, you run the risk of cancellation. Okay. That is a risk that you assume that it may get canceled. And I have another example for you. So a few years ago, I found a mistake fare from New York City to Bangkok, Thailand. And that round trip ticket cost $304. Y'all, that was a deal. It wasn't even a deal. It was a steal. Okay. Those tickets were so cheap. And I was like, yep, I'm going to Thailand. I'm going to Bangkok. I was so excited. And unfortunately, they canceled later on me. And although they canceled, I did get a full refund. So do not worry if they do cancel on you because you're going to get a full refund. All your money will be sent back to you. So that is something to be aware of. A pro tip here is to book these mistake fares directly with the airlines. You don't have to do any back and forth with a third party. And you always want to book your tickets with a credit card, just in case you're going to have to get your money back or do any requests or anything like that. At least you have the credit cards as accountability. So book with a credit card and book directly with the airlines. Pro tip. Okay. Now, you may be tempted to want to contact the airlines and say, hey, I just want to confirm that my mistake fare, it looked like a mistake, but I booked it anyway. I just want to confirm, do not, please do not. Okay. Rule of thumb within the travel community is that when we spot these mistake fares, we are not contacting the airline. We are not going to alert them about this mistake and ruin this opportunity for other travelers who may want to score the same deal. The airlines will eventually find out. So our job is to book our reservations and to sit tight. So I want you to practice patience. You're going to sit tight and wait until you receive your official confirmation number. And if for whatever reason the airline decides to cancel your flight, then it's a loss. I'm sorry about that. But at least you get your refund back, right? At least you get all your money back. So it's a loss, but you get your money back. All right. So those are the questions that I see that pop up a lot. And some of the questions that I personally had when I first discovered mistake fares. Like I said, I've flown with mistake fares quite a number of times. And Some of them, I booked them, but they did not always work out, whether I had to cancel or the airline decided to cancel on me. I will say the majority of times, though, when a mistake fare happens, a lot of these airlines decide to just like, okay, we'll just give it to them. They want to keep their customers happy, and we love that. All right. So overall, mistake fares are out there, and they are an incredible way for you to be able to travel. Like I've mentioned, not only in my book, We Are Financially Savvy Travelers, but in episodes past, is that I always recommend for us to lean into areas of expertise. For me, I really lean heavily on the cheap flights area. That's what my family and friends know me for. That's what I enjoy. Like, I love all things finding cheap flights, booking cheap flights, and mistake fares are a big part of that, in fact. Okay. So if you're wondering if a flight deal subscription service is worth it, I personally say absolutely, it is absolutely worth it. I find them to be an invaluable gift that has saved me personally hundreds of dollars a year, if not thousands of dollars a year, especially now as a family of three. And we do so many bigger family vacations and trips. So getting these flight deal notifications every single day has really helped me to not only save cash, but just become a more knowledgeable, savvy traveler, financially savvy traveler. Alrighty, that is all that I have for today, financially savvy travelers. My goal is to help you snatch them deals. And this 3-part series is one of those ways that we are making it happen. A special thank you again to Thrifty Traveler for partnering with me on this 3-part series. I'm so excited for the next episode. So make sure you're following us. Hit that follow button on your podcast player so you never miss another episode, especially not the next one. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.